Through most of 1944, fleeing wearily before the smashing Jap drive across China, went the homeless and friendless, the halt and the sick, the very old and the very young. Such a one was a little 4-year-old Chinese boy, and this is his fable, a true fable that began when a GI quartet happened on him trudging along this back road near a 14th Air Force base. Even the smallest Chinese children have learned to be doubtful of all strangers, know they're safer when they go about their own business. So this one politely kept his reserve, although the smile spoke a language he wanted to answer. So the GIs called on an ancient roadsider to interpret. They could see the little fellow was dirty, hungry, and tired. They learned he was entirely on his own, that the dust of many a Chinese village was on his small feet, that his 4-year mind had known only fear and flight. The wisdom of old China knew the future of young China was in the hands of its allies, and so bade the little Chinese boy go with these newfound friends. It was his first automobile ride, but trustingly he went with them. By the time they arrived at the post, their friendship was sealed, and they nicknamed him Little Tiger Joe, after their famous Flying Tigers outfit. But suddenly now, at headquarters, GI impulse grew weak. For there's nothing in Army regulations about drawing down Chinese 4-year-olds. They bucked up enough courage to see their CO, but it buckled when they tried to explain the situation. They were vague and rambled on, whilst little Joe slept in the back of the Jeep, unmindful that his mission wasn't getting very good fighter cover. When the CO told them a little impatiently to bring in whatever the devil they were double-talking about, the boys decided maybe it was best to let the little tiger sell himself. The surprised CO managed to retain his official dignity when they stood little Joe before him, and Joe's personality did the rest. Neither understood the other, but they got along like old friends, while the GIs stood around anxiously. But this time, appropriate action was appropriate. Little Tiger Joe stayed with official sanction, and the grinning boys lugged him off for immediate action. And then, scrubbed and shining, report for duty and official assignment. The little Tigers' work in this company, which makes target charts for 14th Air Force planes, came to an abrupt stop when call came for chow. No GI ever had as many buddies as little Joe who wanted to feed him or show him how to do things. There's nothing in the soldier's handbook that tells how to bring up a Chinese kid, but these buddies did it. They taught him how to use a knife and fork instead of chopsticks. They also taught him English, tailored his suntans, made him a pint-sized footlocker, a baseball bat, made him a special part of the unit. They even reserved a special bunk for him and made it bailout-proof, dressed and undressed him. And naturally, they took turns putting him to bed and tucking him in for the night. And in the morning, at roll call, there he was. Rugged. Every time there was inspection, the little tiger passed with flying colors. He was always considered a very fine soldier, took great pride in living up to this. When the company swung out, Joe's stride wasn't as big as the rest, but he knew at last that he was in step. and proudly bringing up the rear. Little Tiger Joe seemed to symbolize that bond of kindness which has marked the marches of American fighting men the world around. Continuing widespread attacks on Jap transport arteries, 14th Air Force bombers on November 11th hit Kangluang Railroad Bridge in northwest Thailand. On the lead ship, 6 B-25s dropped two 1,000-pound general-purpose bombs each from an altitude of 4,500 feet. A previous attack in which 20 tons of bombs were aimed at this objective had failed to inflict any damage. Now, two direct hits and a number of near misses knocked out this vital enemy communications link. All planes returned safely. On November 19th, 4 B-25s of the 14th flew against Cheifan, Burma Road supply base in China. From 8,000 feet, each plane dropped clusters of thermite incendiary. Their mission, destruction of Burma-bound Jap supplies stored in this warehouse area. This highly successful attack left 4 Jap warehouses ablaze as the planes turned off target to head home. No flak or interception was encountered, and all planes returned safely. That same day, the Wan Lai Kum highway bridge in Burma was attacked by 4 more B-25s. 32 250-pound bombs were dropped, 3 of them scoring direct hits, causing extensive damage. 5 days later, November 24th, another assault was made on the same target. This 1,100-foot bridge is on the direct route from Kentung to Lushio, and its destruction would seriously hamper Jap troops fighting in Burma. On November 25th, Lushio, major Jap supply base and western terminus of the Burma Road, was raided by 6 B-25. 100-pound demolition bombs were dropped. Results were excellent, all bombs landing squarely on target. That same evening, 6 Mitchells returned to the same area, destroying warehouses and installations with more 100-pound demos. Next day, the Mitchells were back 2 more times. On December 4th, another Jap base at Kut Kai in Burma was raided. Almost all the Jap headquarters buildings received damage from the 100-pound demolition bombs used in the attack. This was the day's second strike, the first having been directed against the nearby Kut Kai Bridge, vital supply link for the Japs fighting in Burma. All planes returned safely from both raids. By November 18th, 5th Air Force heavies were flying from home base at Oe Island in the Schouten to newly won Tacloban airfield on Leyte. Jap planes attempting to raid our Leyte airfields were consistently shot down. Staging from here, each plane was loaded with 5 1,000-pound bombs and flew on to raid Palompan on Leyte's west coast 16 miles above Omak. From an easy altitude of 4,500 feet, the 8-plane formation hit squarely warehouses along the town's shore. The wreckage of Jap supplies flew hundreds of feet in the air. There was no ack-ack or interception. Port Palompan is the best harbor on the west coast, but offers very limited landing facilities. During the week of November 18, heavies from Leyte flew over Manila, Bataan, and Corregidor for the first time since early in 1942. The following day, the 24s flew back to the same Palompan area for a repeat performance and erased more warehouses. These attacks cut seriously into Jap supply flowing over the single highway that connects Palompan with Omak Valley. Omak was captured December 10th. By the end of the month, Palompan was in our possession, and the campaign for Leyte was considered nearing its close. On On December 11th, continuing their steady strikes made from our new Palau base, 7th Air Force Liberators again hit Cebu, 750 miles to the northwest and centermost of the Visayan group. The two squadrons, encountering a weather front to and from target area, which itself was clear, passed a convoy en route. 3.5 hours after takeoff from Angaur, the planes approached Cebu at 1200 hours. This island could well be a dispersal point for Jap forces fanning out to repulse our invading troops. And this bombing concentrated on supply, barracks, and dock areas, the nearby airdrome having been pounded in previous raids. Capitol building, racetrack, and fine shipping channel are all prominent landmarks for the target runs, which usually bring formations over the edge of the city. Each plane carried 4 instantaneously fused 1,000-pound general-purpose bombs, all of which landed with telling accuracy. Barracks were leveled, docks and storage areas were left burning. The mission was highly successful, and all planes were back at base at 1700 hours. Next day, December 13th, the Palau-based planes returned to Cebu City for a strike against the adjacent Lahug airdrome, where aircraft had been sighted the day before. Due to poor visibility, only 60% of the 500-pounders hit the target area. ACAC was meager, but weather conditions made this mission one of the group's most difficult. Were responsible for its first loss of one plane forced down at sea on the return home, and the survivors could not be rescued until the following day. On December 14th, the Angaur-based Liberators made a first mission to Opan Airdrome at Mactan, a small island directly opposite Cebu. This was a singular and distinctive target. A group of barracks and supply installations cleverly concealed by shrubbery at the edge of the airstrip. Oil and gas storage is presumably hidden here, since a heavy concentration of 500-pounders started large fires in the wooded area adjacent to Long Barracks. On December 15th, the Liberators flew air cover for our invasion of Mindoro, about 300 miles northwest of Leyte. Although moving through enemy waters for 2 days and 3 nights, the invasion force was only occasionally attacked by small numbers of enemy aircraft, and no opposition was met on the beaches, nor has it been met to date. First principal objective was the San Jose airstrip, about 5 miles from the coast. Except for 4 airstrips in the area invaded and other potential sites, there are no important military areas on Mindoro, and the island offers limited naval possibilities. But this occupation in the central Philippines will for the first time put Japan's vital South China Sea supply lines, Formosa, and the South China coast itself within our effective bomber range. On December 17th, 24 Angaur-based B-24s hit Bacolod on the west coast of Negros Island. The well-ordered town of 10 to 15,000 is just north of Bacolod Airdrome, on whose installations and revetment each plane loosed its 4 1,000-pound bombs. Presence of friendly natives generally precludes bombing of Philippine towns. There was no ACAC or interception. Bombing was from 10,000 feet through haze. Some bombs fell in the ocean, but results were generally effective. All planes returned safely after a 10-hour mission. On December 19th, Palau's 7th Air Force Liberators were over Legazpi Airdrome on Luzon. Each plane carried 7 500-pounders. Kept on true course by a Chinese-American navigator, the formation passed the sleeping volcano, Mount Mahon, and broke out of cumulus clouds right at the target, a difficult one because of its proximity to a hospital. However, the area, only 50 by 750 feet, was accurately hit in an admirable bombing. For the 4th time in the last 100 years, the French Alsace city of Strasbourg on the French-German border changes hands. Strasbourg again is free. Allied flags fly everywhere in the Upper Rhine Valley's most famous city as French units of the Allied 7th Army bring an end to 4 years of Nazi occupation. Strasbourg's world-famous 11th century cathedral escapes almost unscratched, a tribute to the precision of Allied bombing attacks on German-held industrial installations in this French Alsace city. Battle damage was comparatively light. Advancing 18 miles in 25 hours, the Allies caught the Germans off balance, captured the city with its power and water systems intact. Men of the Signal Corps worked to restore telephone and telegraph lines. MPs take over as armored units spearheading the Allied drive move up to the battle lines 2 miles beyond the city. Internment begins for the 25,000 German civilians in Strasbourg. With a peacetime population of 180,000, Strasbourg was the cultural capital of Alsace. The Germans chose to regard it as a German city, changed its street names, permitted only the German language to be taught in its schools. But now its streets are guarded by Free French, while other units of the same group continue the attack. Its loss is a blow to Nazi morale. Strasbourg was even more important militarily as the southern anchor of the Maginot system and as a railhead linking southern France with Europe and the Balkans. Prime industrial target for Allied bombs was the Junkers Aero engine plant, seen here in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. On May 27th, 53 B-17s of the U.S. Strategic Air Force struck at the plant, dropping 130 tons of bombs in less than 3 minutes, scoring 80% hits. Before the attack, this factory, located about a mile from the center of the city, produced between 200 to 300 Jumo 211 engines a month for twin-engine Ju-88 bombers. After the attack, the plant's engine repair section continued to function on a much reduced scale. But with 40% of the machine tools entirely destroyed, engine production itself was completely paralyzed. Such machinery as was salvageable was sent back to Germany for repairs and then dispersed to parts plants which the Germans established hurriedly in the nearby Vosges Mountains. Included in the dispersed plants were old weaving mills. But the parts made at these places had to be shipped to Germany for assembly, since production at Strasbourg was never re-established. During December 1944, the uncertain Luftwaffe tried its wings more often than usual against Allied domination of the skies. Gun-sight aiming point cameras revealed that a great many Nazi pilots found their cockpits uncomfortably warm. Nazi ground targets continue to be shot up like sitting ducks.